Mount Scrapper with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and we're here with another episode of Mini Monday. Yes, Mini Monday. And today we're going to show you a really lovely block I'm calling Echo of Birds. Now, it's based on darks and lights, right? So you have to have you play with this one. You just have some fun with this one. And you can come up with some very neat color combinations and layouts and all the rest of the stuff. So it's a kind of a cool and very diverse block. But first, let's do our shout out, because we can't forget the shout outs. Vicki Holloway from My Creative Corner with Vicki Holloway is on our radar this week, as well as Stella Marvis Quilt. Stella Marvis Quilt. I'm sorry if I made a mistake on your name, but both of these people are just having a great time over on their channel. So please go check them out. Please go check them out and give them some words of love and encouragement and all the rest of the stuff. If you like what you see, hit their subscribe button and let them know that you are appreciating this. Also, you're going to find their YouTube links in our show notes below, as well as the PDF pattern for Echo of Birds. So now, there's a whole bunch of other information in that description box, or the show notes, what I'm calling them. So what you do is, okay, you go in there and you look for that more button, or the description box, and you hit it and it'll open up, and then you just scroll down. We also have the Zoom sew dates listed. It's the first Saturday of every month from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, because I'm in Alberta, Canada. We have a Facebook group with virtual sewing rooms hosted by Discord, community chats, fabric exchanges. The admins are asking us that you agree to the rules. You answer the questions and you agree to the rules. Otherwise, they can't let you in. And we're trying to keep the group all about quilters and keep it safe for everyone, so that's really kind of important. Also, help us out help our analytics by making comments, share, like, subscribing, hit the bell, do the thumbs up, and there's a hype now that you can do on YouTube. That would really help us out quite a bit. You know, and get our analytics out there so we can give more free patterns to more people. That's kind of like my mission and what I'm doing here right now. Also, I speak for free to quilting gals and quilting groups. I am going to have a second presentation on, hopefully by the end of December. I just have to sit down and do the pictures for it. But the other one's about elements of design, working with scrap fabrics, making charity quilts. So if you haven't heard me before, go for the first one, and then the second, if you've had me before, booked me for, you can now book me for the second speaking engagement. You can get a hold of me either through the Facebook group by Messenger, or you can email me, and my email address is under the About tab. Also, send us shout-outs. Shout-outs are so important. I'm having all sorts of fun doing all sorts of shout-outs for people that I'm finding new. So that's kind of our best way of doing it. So again, message me through Facebook. My email address is under the About tab. Twinkle Twinkle will start February 25th, and the clues you're getting right now: save your strings, and if you don't like strings or your anti-string, you can make all the blocks out of solid pieces. But it's going to be a really good scrap buster, and that starts February 25th. The quilt behind me here is going to start right after Twinkle Twinkle is done. And this is a fast, fun, quick quilt to make. And yeah, it's a little bit, it looks really complex, but it's faster to piece it than it is to quilt it. So, and I just did very quick, easy quilting. I didn't do anything fancy. So yeah, that's kind of our fun little surprise for you here, is this one's next after Twinkle Twinkle. So, I think that's it. Yes, it is. So come on in. Let's get to the sewing of Echoes of Birds. Okay, we're at the sewing machine. Hit paper, scissors to cut your pattern, your PDF open. And now I did forget to do the tracing wheel on this one, but I mean, I would normally do the tracing wheel first. We'll see how easy this is without the tracing wheel. Your tape is your friend in case you make a mistake and you have to unpick something. A rotary cutter, of course. I have an add a quarter ruler, just because it has that little ridge that catches the fabric really nice. And of course, my 12-inch by 6-inch ruler, Olaf ruler. And it has a beautiful 1/4-inch seam marking on it. It's perfect. So let's get some of this done. So first off, we're going to start with a light gray and a dark pink. Now, the way I numbered the, I don't know what I was dreaming about when I numbered these, but hey, this is where we're at. So we're going to line these up just like so. Put the right sides together, just like that. And we're going to put them so that we can see a little bit of dark gray or light gray on either side. And we can. So, oops, wrong foot. Let's change feet. Yes, I know. Every time we do this, we gotta change feet. Okay, let's pick that up again. So what I did is light gray, dark pink, dark gray, pale pink, right? So I've labeled it, so what color goes where, so I know which color goes where, so I don't have to sit there and go, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So anyways, let's put this under. Let's put this under the needle and get going. Now I have shortened my stitch length, and I have a sharp needle. And we're going to make this rock. Now, this is the wrong side. Good side to good side. Okay, line that up best you can. These are fun. These ones are really fun if they're all scrappy. And I'm just going to take a quick look. Yes, got coverage. Now, these ones, it's a dark gray and a pale pink. Yeah, I know. Ooh, the dark gray is so much bigger. Oh, I must have cut it differently. Okay, so that's not a problem. We're just gonna line this up, kinda, and you can kind of see where this should be lined up because it goes right across, right? This is one of these that goes right across, so there we go. And again, the dark pink, or the light pale pink, and the dark gray. And line it up, just like so. And kind of center it a bit too, so you get that pale pink centered. Okay, there we go. Now we go back to the other pile. It's easier if you rough cut these a bit, just so you have them, kind of, you figure them out kind of a bit beforehand. Okay, so now we're going to do that and that. Now, before I start sewing another one, I want to make sure that the dark pink I'm going to add on is going to be in the right spot. Right? And you just want to pull that up, just like so. Trim this a bit. You're probably just going to trim off a sliver here. Yes, you are. And this is now where you put your dark pink. And your dark pink's going to go like that. So you want that right there. And you're going to sew in from the outer edge. Wait a minute. There we go. From the outer edge. There we go. And then a 1/4 inch past that point. Again. There we go. And I just do this because otherwise sometimes I have gotten confused about which way this is supposed to go. Like you're supposed to have a whole bunch of little flock of birds block this way. Okay. Here. Oh, there we go. Okay, now this gets pushed this way. This pale pink gets pushed that way. Okay. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Get that right in there, just like so. And so I did it a little different than the numbering, but you know, the way it's been numbered, but this is the way I would normally do it. And if I remember when I drew this, I could not get it to number the way I wanted it to number, so I gave up. Sometimes, you know, it's not worth the argument. It's just, okay, we'll let you do it your way, and I'm just going to sew it the way I want it done. So that kind of thing happens, and that's okay. Even if you were to draw this out by hand, that's another thing people forget too. They can draw these out by hand, and you know, from there they can create some beautiful blocks. You know, I grew up drawing them by hand, not, you know, not buying them or, you know, in a thing. But so I mean, for me to sit and draw them now, it's easy, right? Okay, now let's get these pressed. Now we go with the pink on the other side. I'm going to make sure that's going to line up. There. There we go. Nice. There we go. There. And you want it to look like that. So that's, I get confused when I'm doing this block, so I'm always, okay, let's check, let's do it. Just a quick check before we sew it on wrong, because I've been known to do that, sewing the angle on incorrectly. Because, you know, you can, right? Very quickly you can do that, especially if you get, you know, a little moment's distraction or something. It's like, you know, you got a cat yowling at the door or something, you know, all of a sudden, oh yeah, what was I doing? Okay. I mean, we've all been there, we've all done that, so it's fine, you know. Okay, here we go. And this goes just like so, right over that. And, gee, we're almost more than halfway done already. Oh my goodness. Now, these kind of blocks are probably my favorite way to a foundation paper piece. I can sit with my crumbs and foundation paper piece all day, right? Because I have that many crumbs. And I just find it it's relaxing. You get so much more done because you sat there and you've used up your bits and bobs. Okay, let's get this one. I'm not happy with this. I wish now I would have done my tracing wheel, because I'm ripping up too much paper, but I'll survive. I will make it work. I just prefer that tracing wheel method just because it helps speed things along for me, I think, sometimes. Not that you have to race, but I like to see something finished. And I always find, like, the other thing I find with foundation paper piecing is they never look like anything until they're trimmed and sewn together. Then they look like something. Other than that, they don't. Before then, yeah, it's kind of like, wow, you a mess. You know, some blocks are worse than others for looking like a hot mess. But anyways, there we go. And that gets laid out like that. And there we go. Another one. Okay. Now, oops. Okay, so now we go back to the light gray. I'm just going to press this out of the way. Now I cut the light gray thicker. Foundation paper piecing isn't necessarily about precision, right? It's about, now I cut this big because I wanted a big piece to trim off because of the shape of the scrap I was dealing with. But anyways, you'll see in a second how we get a nice bigger piece to trim. Oops. There we go. And make sure you got the right side. Yes, I do. I should trim off that one string. There it is. And set her down. Now you notice I didn't trim this line because you don't have to trim every line, right? I mean, if it looks kind of, you know, when you press it out like this, you've got a reasonable 1/4 inch point. You know, anything now that you're going to trim is just like fluff. It's, you know, it's not worth your time to pick up your rotary cutter, right? So just get this, trim off this string, trim off this string. Okay, there we go. Nice. Here. And we only have now, after this is on, we have 4 more pieces left, and that's it. We can start sewing this block together. Yay! Foundation paper piecing is all about the front. Does the front look good? Right? There's some people, when they do foundation paper piecing, they don't use a rotary cutter and add a 1/4 ruler. What they use is a scissor. Yes, and it's okay to use a scissor. It's just different than the way we think, right? You know, just because somebody's doing it different doesn't mean they're doing it wrong. You know, you do have a nice trimmed block from the back when you use a add a 1/4 ruler or a ruler to trim your block. But the reality is, you don't need it. You seriously do not need that. All you need is, you know, the lines to cover. Now I can put this into my strings, right? I can put them in my strings and I don't have to worry about where they're going to go or anything. It's just nice and neat. And now I'm going to take this pink square or triangle and I'm going to kind of line it up to the center of the gray and feed it under. Yep. Yeah. Oh, get rid of this string because we don't need this string. Yeah, that's a quicker way to do sometimes, you know, these blocks. There. And again, there. So these those gray ones go back into my scraps. I flip this over and I take it and I line this up, this square up, kind of in the middle. And that's going to give me the point on this side. And kind of, you know, without having to go, wow, where did it go? Okay, there we go. Now, the same with these, right? There we go. Like that little dog ear that's sticking out doesn't have to be trimmed. Right? It really doesn't have to be trimmed. If you really bothers you that it's there, okay, trim away. But see, this one's got a little dog ear too. You know, you don't have to trim them off. It's not that much, you know, it's not going to cause that much weight under a quilt that you would suffocate in the winter when you're laying under it, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay, now. There we go. And another gray string I've just created. Lay out the low volume pink, or the light pink. Not low volume pink, light pink. Okay. And And again, oops, I need to press that out a little more. There. Okay. There we go. Right there in the middle, line it up. Yeah. Okay, now we come to the moment of truth. Okay, we have all 4 of them sewn, right? So now we're going to press them all out, just quick finger press. And I've got the dark pink, light gray, and the dark gray, light pink, all there. Yeah, everything looks like it's going to cover. Yay! Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim them here right away, right quick like a bunny. Okay. Now, I put my 1/4 inch marks on the sew line, not the seam line, and I trim. That's going to give me the unity on this block, you know, the precision on this block. Okay, here we go. And I like this Olaf ruler because if I line it up just absolutely perfectly, the lines on the ruler disappear within the line on the sew line. Right? Like there's no, I don't see it thicker or anything. It's just gone. So I know I'm making a really good cut. Okay, so that's one. There. Just keep going along with this. There we go. There we go, and okay. Here. Ooh. I just about cut myself. Did you see that? I put the ruler down, and I had my fingers all laid out perfectly, and then I put my ruler on top, or my cutter right on top of the ruler, and pushed. I just about cut myself. Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll do that a little more cautiously. Yes, we will. Because, wow. Again, you know, like I say, sew on or cut on the sew line, or line up your 1/4 inch on your sew line, and you just get that perfect, precise, you know, trim that you need for these to all go together well. You know, now you're not struggling trying to, oh wow, this one's a little long, this one's a little short. Let's ease them in. You don't have to ease anything in then. You just sew, right? Okay, there we go. Nice. And the last one. Okay. Now, let's see. Put all of this to the side. Now, there's a couple ways you can lay this out, this block out. Now let's play with this. So you can put this so that the blocks all go in like this. And I'll just move this here. You can put this so it all goes in like so. Right? And that creates kind of a cool little pattern. You can flip them so that only half of them go in, right? That also creates rather a dynamic little thing going on. Or you can put them so they're like this, right? And that creates probably, you know, I love this idea. I really do. Because, you know, it's that dark and light and everything's working. So we're going to sew them together that way. We're going to sew them together that way. That'll be perfect. Let's get this. You You know, there's a few, I always love blocks that you can take and you could sew a few different ways together, because, I don't know, I find there's more versatility that way. And if you, you know, put the 3 different ways, right, and you put sashing and a cornerstone, you know, like every block looks different, but it's the same block, right? So I've got my 1/4 inch foot on. Let's just line these up. Take your time to line them up, because you want them to come together just lovely. Lovely. There we go. Okay. And now these get lined up just like so. There. There we go. Now take that out. Okay. Oops. Get rid of all that extra thread. And now you gotta decide, one's going up and one's going down. So I would press to the dark. So you're gonna put the in the center. So you want the one to go up and the one to go down. Okay, you want that. Now you can, I cut them so that I can get that center just perfectly matched, so that's important. And now right to the end. Okay, now there we go. Get this open and trim all those threads. Now what's going to happen when you open this up? You're going to be able to swirl these, so you just want to pull apart that center and make that happen very quick. And let's get the stay stitching. What the stay stitching does, yes, it makes your paper harder to get rid of, but you have no distortion. And because all of the outside seams have no bias, because they're kind of pre-cut and pre-sized prior to, there's no bias on the outside edge. So there, you know, you're minimizing distortion, so you end up with a nice crisp looking block, right? Which is kind of a nice thing to have, a nice crisp looking block. And, you know, and all I've done so far is just finger press, right? I haven't done anything, you know, other than the finger press, the old-fashioned finger press, but you end up with beautiful blocks. Then when you take all the paper off, like I say, you give it another good press, and you're there, right? So now the stay stitching is there, like all the way, all 4 sides. And now we're going to get to our ta-da moment. But I'll give you a little peek about how crisp that center is, right there. Can you see it? Come on, focus. There we go. So let's get to our ta-da moment. Okay, here's our ta-da moment for Echo of Birds. My husband and I were just laughing about it. It looks like a fish. Why is this a bird? So I was, you know, this is the head, the wings, the tail, you know, but so it still looks like a bird or a fish. And I said, well, it is a take on that. Is it a bird or is it a fish, right? So this is one that is quite cool. And now, it's versatility for layouts. You can play around, flip and flop around. You can make all your birds going the same way or flying in formation. This is a cool block to play with, right? So, and it's a really good scrap buster too, right? So if you like doing little crumb bits or smaller bits with foundation paper piecing, this one comes together very quickly. So, and it's a fun scrap buster too. Anyways, I hope you give this one a try. And let us know if you want more blocks like this. It's we're having a lot of fun with these Mini Mondays, but we should move on to other things. We can keep bringing Mini Monday back whenever we want, right? So yeah, that's okay too. But anyways, you guys stay well and take care until we see each other again. Okay, bye! My husband and I would like to thank you for all of your support and watching our videos and sharing and liking. It has just been, you've put us on such an amazing journey and we are having so much fun. I hope everything is going so well in your life and, you know, your 1/4 inch is perfect. Everything is working out for you. And we're just so happy to be part of your lives, and you having, like I say, you're watching us. I was just so thrilled that you're doing that. So I want to say goodbye, and I want to thank you with all my heart. Okay? Take care. Bye.